Web3 media friends, welcome. Brought to you by Rug Radio /Decrypt. We are talking about. I'm telling you, there's this L2, this layer two project. With this very strong existing player base, real world partnerships with luxury brands and shoe deals led by AAA executives from gaming companies. If you were to hear that, would you FOMO in there? Would you allow this? Would you just repost all over Twitter to try and get some allocation? Maybe, but you don't have to. It's already here. If you haven't guessed it, I'm scrolling through it, so I'm very bad at this game of, of alpha giveaways. But you can see here, we're talking about the ApeCoin DAO, and there's a lot being voted on right now that I think is very crucial for. I don't want to say like, hey, investors, like come in and like, let's ape into this coin. But I think now might be a really interesting opportunity to start looking at what's going on with the ApeCoin DAO, because they're providing opportunities and starting to create opportunities through these series of ApeCoin DAO votes to provide opportunities for creators and builders at a smaller scale that still leverages and allows you to, leverage the community, leverage a lot of the things that are building to propel you in this launchpad style, which for me is what the bodega, what the yacht club should be. It's more than just a bar. Like I'm happy to hang out with you guys at NFT NYC in Miami and like let's party, but let's also work together. Let's find ways to collaborate. And so I speak with All City, the governance steward for the ApeCoin DAO today, and we have a bit of a different format today. Because we're looking kind of slightly at how this all leeches not leeches together, but like latches together, because there's a lot of really great votes coming up, and specifically you can tell there's like really big ones like boring security, yeah, like past that, right? Like hell yeah. But like you can see some of the smaller ones, like mobile game, they just don't seem, in a sense, in this big grand scheme of DAO voting, quote unquote, worth it, right? You have this ApeCoin Pets. I mean, that's a cool idea. That's a great small business idea. But is it fitting the framework for this large DAO endowment to go through the voting process, which can seem intimidating? Maybe not. And that's why we talked to All City today to talk about how to onboard new creators and new builders who want to take advantage. And you don't even have to hold an ape, guys. This is the crazy part. Just by having ApeCoin, you are creating opportunities for yourself by looking at what's going on in this space, especially right now. What's up for vote right now is the L2 build out, and they're trying to select who's going to be building that out. Right now, you have Polygon, which is winning at about 63% of the vote. Horizon Arbitrum, 28%, and A-Team Optimism at 8%. So while that shakes out, it's just like, well, while that forms, we're talking about a layer here. We're talking about an entire layer and an ecosystem based on, one of the most prominent franchises in this space. So very important to take a look. And let me get into my chat with All City.
Hey, Minty Fresh. Thanks for having me.
Okay, but what's one of the proposals that you're the most proud of? That you were like, I did that.
Probably the first one. So when I got into DAO late 2022, magazine concept Beyond the Swamp, put a lot of passion into that. We're still working away, plugging away on that, which is exciting. ApeCoin DAO duties really kind of took a hold, but the first one's always good. Campaigning to get elected was another big one as well. I mean, it's a little different, but it's still sort of a proposal. Really, really excited right now about this project that I'm working on with a group called UMA and their OSNAP protocol. This is an on-chain protocol, which is going to be a first for ApeCoin DAO, small grants. So we're targeting everything underneath 8,500 ape. And looking forward to doing a lot of community building with that, reaching out to just different groups and really kind of helping grow the ecosystem and doing some cool stuff.
It's very specific, the 8,500. How did you come about to that number?
Yeah, well, obviously price volatility is a thing. So the goal was to try to kind of keep it around 15K, right, and under. And there's going to be different ways that we're going to be kind of rolling this out. Again, lots of what I'm referring to as cross community grants. So maybe we go to wherever, maybe we go to Azuki or whatever project, and we say, listen, we want to get your community more involved with governance over at ApeCoin. We want to start, we want to introduce you to ApeCoin, right? So how can we build together? What can we get done? Maybe that program isn't 8,500, altogether. Maybe we split it in half and it's broken into a bunch of smaller different things. But this is some of the fun that we're going to have with it. Really kind of building out these sort of sub programs off of the main program. So pretty excited.
In that sort of low cost sector, if you will, something that's very, very, I don't know, it was very in vogue. Certainly the Nouns DAO, we're kind of familiar with them, and having Rug Radio as well. Like everyone's kind of come to the point where they're just like, okay, we need a way to enact very small grants that have some immediacy to it. And I think that what you have in mind, especially when working with UMA protocol, it seems like that's what it's tailored for. How did you come across UMA and their protocol for snapshot voting?
Yeah, it's actually, this is a great question. It's very interesting. So, an ex-steward, a good friend of mine, Amplify, who I worked under, Uma actually put up a proposal without the program behind it, just to kind of get their protocol up months back, before I kind of got involved with the DAO. And then I got in, and Amplify was still with us, introduced me to them kind of right off the bat. Didn't really do a whole lot. There was so much going on at the time. And then maybe 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, 6 weeks to 2 months ago, they were getting ready to put up another proposal. And they reached out just to kind of take a look at it. And I was reminded, and I was like, you know what, guys, just let's tap the brakes for a minute. I got some ideas. Let's build something really special, because the protocol that you got's great. But let's build something around it. And what gets more interesting is I'm from Vancouver. I live just outside of Vancouver now. They're all from.
I don't even sense the accent at all. You're passing quite well.
Oh, is that good? Okay. Well, what's interesting is I had no idea, but a lot of their team is from out this way. So it just was all kind of random. But great bunch of guys. I'm actually meeting up with one of them tomorrow night in person with Null. So if anybody out here is watching. Good ape buddy of mine, super fun guy, Null. So he's going to be coming out with us as well.
In your mind, what's the importance of giving grants of this size?
Well, it's really important. There's, number one, the AIP process with ApeCoin is, it's a challenge. Now I'm here to
for those who aren't familiar, what does AIP mean?
It's an ape improvement process or proposal. Sorry, ape. I should get that right. Ape improvement proposal. And so so it's essentially just the ApeCoin DAO's grant system, right?
And so by allowing this grant system to have a very specific amount, what is it that you're hoping to achieve and stimulate with the 8,500 ape
growth
per grant? Really
just growth, right? So I mean, it's a big deal right now with Ape Chain coming, right? So actually tomorrow night, that all goes live. So for this L2 solution, this is a big deal, right? We all know that a gaming future is coming for ApeCoin. We know that although Yuga Labs is separate from the Ape Foundation, we all kind of need to follow the footsteps of what they're doing. They're definitely moving towards gaming. So L2 and L2 solution's huge. So we need people to build on top of that. And kind of like what I was going a couple minutes ago, the AIP process is challenging, right? Especially if you're just kind of coming into the DAO. Forget about just getting your proposal written and through and up to vote. You've also got to understand the voters, right? You got to understand the community. And so for a lot of these builders who are just kind of maybe entering our ecosystem, who might not be as familiar, it's going to be there's going to be a learning curve. So being able to provide these smaller price points with the quicker sort of process, it's going to be special. We're going to be able to help more people and really kind of get back to the roots and tap into our boots on the ground with our real kind of active community members.
Walk me through that ideal scenario for you for that sort of that easy accessibility incorporating snapshot. It's like say I want to put together a proposal. What are my first steps, and how has it been streamlined with this proposal?
Yeah, so with ours, it's going to be a little bit different. And so it's written in a way right now where we're still flexible. We're going to work with the community. But certainly we're going to be looking at different things. Like, it's a polarizing topic, to KYC or not to KYC. For me, I think it needs to be in place for certain types of grants and certain sizes for sure. I'm a little bit more open to smaller grants. A lot of people do share that. So this is something we're going to be looking at with this program. Do we need to KYC? Do we not? What type of KYC are we going to do? We definitely just want to streamline things, right? We want to be able to provide access to the ecosystem in a quicker way, and hopefully, right? Hopefully, even be able to provide, funding for some proof of concept for people who can then come back, say, you know what, I did it once, I got this little chunk started, now I got this proof of concept, I'm going to come back, write a full AIP, and get cooking, right?
Interesting. So that maybe it's a stepping stone, because that's the great idea of the bodega seems to be it's a launch pad for a lot of these great businesses of apes building on it. And herein lies, again, the openness of this DAO of providing ApeCoin as a germination point for any IP, it seems, at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole IP thing that's another polarizing topic. And so one thing that we've been working with Marcoms, with Popple and Lindstro, we actually met with Yuga Labs with their head of legal 2 weeks ago, with Cam, just to kind of talk about some of that stuff, because IP is very important to me as well. When I ran for my position 6 months ago, ironically, we're talking about small grants. Two of the biggest things that I was really campaigning for was more IP opportunities at the DAO and small grants. And so really, I'm going to be able to achieve a couple of those big ticks off of my list here with this program.
Look at it. You're already running for re-election. You're halfway there, and you're already running for re-election. Typical when it comes to politics, but it is important, and I think that we're trying to understand. I think from the perspective of a builder, say I have whether it's an Azuki or an ape at this point, or mutants. I want and I want to try and I have an idea for something. What is again that first step towards attaining this particular grant?
Yeah, so we're going to have this particular program. I really want to be targeting different communities. So what I mean by that too is that these steps are going to be different for each community. It really is like we're going to be doing it in-house as well. I'm also going to be providing these opportunities to the different working groups. But I really do. The goal here is really to focus on cross-community building. There's going to be a ton of different opportunities with this. It's going to follow suit. Like there's certain things that we're going to be able to change, and there's certain things that we're not. To kind of give you a little bit more of a perspective, what I'll do is I'll kind of walk you through very quickly sort of the AIP process at the DAO right now. And so what you would do to start that process is you'd go to our discourse forum, which is just apecoin.com. You're going to click on discussion right up at the very top. And pinned, right on that homepage, you're going to see the AIP draft template. And so this proposal up here, the GWG UMA on-chain grants, this is following suit to that AIP draft template, pardon me. And this is what you prepare. And then what happens is you're going to post that into the idea stage, into the idea thread. And that's going to sit there for 7 days. After that, facilitators are going to reach out. They're going to say, hey, Minty Fresh, are you ready to take this to the next step? You're going to say, yeah, I'm ready. Or maybe you go, keep it up for another week. Let's get some more community feedback. Let's see what else we can incorporate. Or again, you're going to advance into to the draft stage. From there, you're going to get into administrative review. That's where this particular proposal is at right now. And what that means is it's just getting reviewed by special counsel. We go through the same process just as everyone else, right? So special counsel's looking at this. The foundation's looking at this, our Cayman administrator, Webslinger, they're looking at this, making sure legally it's all good, right? There's a lot of liability that goes on with DAOs, so it's got to make sense for them. And then it goes up for vote. Right now, I think we're down to about 6 weeks, whereas, a few months back it was taking longer. So the facilitators, the governance working group, the team that I'm on there with the facilitators, working real hard, busting their butts, doing some great work. So that's kind of our start to finish right there, right now.
With the AIP, but this seems to incorporate a snapshot capability, and it seems to make that voting bit easier. Yes.
Yeah. You know what, Minty? We do use snapshot right now at the DAO as well too. Apologies if I didn't say that, right? So yeah, definitely snapshot's part of it, and that's actually this is a good point as well to sort of touch on too. So the original UMA proposal that they had put up, without the program built around it, that was sort of their issue because they wanted to keep it on the same snapshot as, say, the AIP process. We're taking a different approach. We're going to have a dedicated spot for that. So that way it's not getting there's only, I don't know if you know too much about snapshot, but there's only so many strategies that you can have on strategies are just basically, different voting strategies essentially, right? So we're going to have a separate one ready to go, less cluttered, more focused, and just cleaner for everyone.
it seems to get to this level of execution that you've done so very well. Like, look at how clean this proposal is.
I
I feel like
appreciate
everyone
that.
who's into DAOs is a lawyer. Is that where you kind of came from in your background?
No, you know what? My background is interesting. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Grew up skateboarding, doing graffiti. I'm a very creative guy, and I was in the cannabis industry for years and years. So up here in Canada, we went federal, and during that process, I was doing a lot of consulting and working with a lot of different groups, a lot of different corporate groups that were trying to get in. Didn't really know too much about the industry, and so they'd hire me to really just keep an eye on, during that, there was about a year as everything kind of transitioned into legalization. So really just ripping apart every framework, consultation, all that kind of stuff. Believe it or not, I used to stand in front of city council, and so this is kind of where a little bit of my interest came for governance. Because before that, I really didn't have any. I didn't have any. It wasn't that I wasn't interested; I just wasn't exposed to it. And so when I really did kind of learn a lot through those few years of that process, and then kind of falling into the DAO, really again, not really knowing that I was going to fall in love with it so much. I was just kind of like, man, these are my people. I love it, right? So, yeah,
Really getting into the nitty gritty and the execution. And again, the things that you're proposing, I feel are really truly helping improve the amendments that I see you, incorporating are really trying to help streamline this whole process and better it. What sort of experience did you come in with? Like, I don't know, did you work on a DAO before, or is it just or is this just common sense to you? You're just like, this is how it should
logic.
be. Yeah,
Yeah, I
right.
think I'm just kind of just one of those people that just kind of runs on logic. So it just kind of made sense. Again, I came in and just kind of found the community, which was very interesting, and didn't really have, didn't really know I was going to run for anything, but it just felt right. And yeah, I just love it. It gives me, like I say, I'm a pretty creative guy. I'm a kind of one of these, a lot of the MBA people, like, there's creative side and you also have a business side, which is a great two things to
You
have.
have just enough beard for creative, so you're all
Okay.
good. You're fine. Nobody's doubting that at all at this point. They're looking
No,
at that
that's
beard. They're like,
great.
he's a creative for sure.
That's great. But on the same hand, I'm able to kind of get something different at the DAO too, like something internal that I need. I fill a void, right? It's something
Mm,
that I'm really passionate about and I love it. Yeah.
it's fantastic. I think with a lot of DAOs, there's really great thought into how to deliver, and a lot of, sometimes it actually does get delivered to creators and creatives. How is it that you foresee the follow up? Because I think that that's where a lot of it sort of kind of gums in the works, where it's suddenly like, oh great, we got these passed, and like these
Yeah.
people are getting the money, but the actual return on investment for the DAO doesn't quite happen.
Yeah.
How are you trying to circumvent that?
It's a great point. It's a great question to pose. I think first and foremost, look, everyone at the DAO is very transparent about where we're at and where we need to get, and we need to be better with how we're following up with implementation. I think that this is a challenge for everyone, right? The facilitators, I mentioned them earlier, they're doing a fantastic job reaching out to authors, but I think you're going to see a little bit more accountability coming in the future, right? Because right now there's not a whole lot in place. So definitely, where do I see it? There's definitely going to be some more coming down the road. There's also some interesting stuff coming in terms of sustainability with the DAO. So up until, well, really even right now, we're a grants DAO, which means it's ApeCoin going out. There's nothing coming back, right? That's not very sustainable. So a few of the things that we've been working on, in our last budget, it was important to us because there's starting to sort of get talk that the foundation might be open to rev share or just experimenting with different things, but it was still very foggy to the community. So we've actually hired a third party consulting firm to actually create what we're calling an economic sustainability study. And this is really interesting stuff. I mean, these are big brains, and really just kind of looking at our treasury, looking at how it's managed, our expenses, all that basic stuff, but really coming up with these different pathways towards sustainability. And that's something that the governance group is really trying to achieve as well, to keep our costs down for the community, right? Because if we can get more sustainable by generating some revenue and by being able to just sort of, you know, just cut those costs for everyone, that's what we want to do, right? Because this stuff's not cheap to run, and we're community members too, right? And this is our treasury as well. This is just it's for everyone, right? So we want to make sure that we're as responsible as we can, and looking at as many different avenues to be sustainable, like I said, as we can.
It sounds like that there's a path in your mind for an entrepreneur to come into this space and say, okay, great, let me try something out. Let me get this small amount at 8,500 ApeCoin. Hey, it works. Now let's go for a full AIP. Of which I don't even. I mean, I've always heard massive amounts in terms of like I heard the Ape Water guys is like pitch, and I was like, whoa. I guess what's the framework for that in terms of money level?
There's no cap right now, right? So there's
Wow.
no cap. Now, yeah, it's so far we've been okay, right? So far we've been okay. There's different stops that I'd like to see in place eventually, like maybe, in construction and stuff. I think general contractors typically are going to get paid in draws. This is maybe something we can look at. But part of what makes the DAO special is that it really is here to empower the community. So it's a balance. You got to be smart, you got to be sensible, you got to be logical, you got to be sustainable, but you don't want to be too corporate either. So it's always this kind of balance. DAOs are a fragile thing, but yeah. What do we got
I'm
on the
taking a
screen
look at
here?
all of the great bodega. There's over
Love it.
350 made by Ape, bodega businesses that
Yeah.
are out there. Are there ones that stand out in your mind as like, wow, this is a perfect opportunity, or this is something, gosh, we could use more of these. Are
Oh,
there
there's times.
perfect
I mean,
models in your mind?
I'm seeing so many friends here. The Preps Racing
All
guys.
right.
That's just like in Hong Kong. I mean, everybody. I could just start rattling them off. Jador
Yeah.
from the French Apes. Yeah, I love the guys out in New York though. The Preps Racing guys. They hosted a great time for us at the track out in Hong Kong actually, which was a really special. I just loved
Ooh.
it out there. It was just amazing. But there's so many. Look, I mean, I think that there's so many reasons why Made by Apes works, and it's just so empowering, right? Because all of us, Yuga gives us this power to use the mutants beer guys. Love those guys. They give us this power to utilize this IP. And this was something that really brought everyone together and really kind of made it official, sort of, and really kind of created this bond and this bodega, right? This is like an incredible thing, right? So, I think that as the market, continues to come back and stuff, I think that the Made by Apes products are just going to continue to really, really take off. And really, it's so important to support each other, right? We all love each other. We all want to see everybody succeed. We all love each other's products. We all want to see each other's apes all over the place or whatever other, NFTs and PFPs that we got. So it's just a fantastic program, and just, the whole ecosystem that they were, able to create with that, and the family that's over there is fantastic.
I felt a lot of that when sort of Gordon started coming back around, right? Like there was a lot of familiarity. There, like I know we announced the Bodega roundish that time, but when he came back, there was that sense again, right? Of like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's what we're about. It's like we love the gaming stuff and that's fantastic, but there was that community bit that I felt like we
absolutely.
missed, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited of you spearheading this ability for us to make our own lives sustainable because I think a lot of us in the space are part of the club in order to find ways to make our own way in this space, build our own sustainability, and hopefully, rise all tides together. And so I appreciate you taking the time to walk us through. And I hope this isn't the last conversation. I think you're doing a lot of really interesting work. And I'd love to follow up with you when this thing passes. How do we get this thing to pass? Everybody with ApeCoin needs to jump on there, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
it. Yeah, that's it. Should be up pretty soon. We're like I say, we're in an admin review. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it before March. So voting just changed. We used to do it every month, or sorry, every week. Where our cadence just shifted to every 2 weeks. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see it before the end of the month. So
fantastic. Well, I'll be sure to post when that happens and hopefully see you on the other side of the approval.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you all, City.
Peace.